hands. Why are they so weird? When you start to look at them for long enough, they start to take on that kind of really alien appearance, like they're not supposed to be attached to our bodies. It's kind of like when, if you stare at yourself in a mirror for too long and it's like your face suddenly starts shifting and changing into something really scary. I think this is a thing and not just me, I hope. Or, if you say your name over and over and over again out loud, it starts to sound really, really unusual and like not a word. That's how I feel about hands when I look at them, but also when I'm drawing them. And I know for a fact that I am not alone in this because so many people struggle with drawing hands. And you know what? It's completely understandable. We have 4 fingers, a thumb. They can move in so many different directions. They can make really, really strange shapes that almost seem impossible sometimes. So yeah, they're hard to draw for a reason. So we definitely don't need to beat ourselves up over the fact that we struggle with drawing them or cannot draw them at all. Back when I first started drawing again, I would do the old favorite, put the hand behind the back so that I wouldn't have to draw it. And I avoided drawing hands for the longest time. I would find any excuse to not have to put them into a picture. But I was only delaying the inevitable. I can't hide them forever. I don't care how accomplished you are as an artist. There is absolutely no way that you go into a drawing with hands in it without feeling some sense of fear. Now, to be fair, I have been practicing drawing hands a little bit more regularly over the past, let's say, 2 years. When I flip through my most recent sketchbooks, I can see that I have made an effort to make sure there's at least one hand included in a sketch spread. And for the most part, I can see that I have improved quite a lot, but it doesn't exempt me from actually being scared to draw them every single time. So every so often, I like to do an entire page of hand studies just to kind of see where I'm at with my understanding of the anatomy, how I can translate that into my style. Because when I draw hands, I don't like to draw them super realistic because there's just far too much detail. And the more I can stylize them, the more I can kind of get away with. In saying that though, it highlights a lot about my art and perhaps gaps in my abilities if I'm making a conscious effort to over stylize my art because I find something difficult to draw. And that's not just limited to drawing hands, but across all of my skills where my knowledge and experience probably need that extra bit of help. Allowing myself the time to learn and expand my horizons is one of my main goals for this year. So I'm really excited to share that this video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community that is very well known for an amazing range of classes on illustration, photography and film. But it's not just limited to physical learning. There's also countless classes designed to help you find ways to harness your creativity, become more productive, or even manage your career. I've been working really hard on my technical art skills the past few years, but I really want to enhance my editing and cinematography knowledge to really bring my content to life. I've been devouring classes by Fred Trevino, specifically on understanding how to do something as simple as correctly lighting my art studio to create a better atmosphere and filming environment, as well as taking classes on how to color grade my footage for a more cinematic effect and becoming more familiar with my editing tool of choice. Adi Singh's Beginner's B-Roll Guide has been integral to understanding the functions of my camera, such as the best settings to use, camera handling techniques, setting a good shot, and pretty much anything I need to know to bring more interest and storytelling elements to my art videos. So definitely worth a watch if you want to up your long or short form game. Skillshare is an incredible place to expand on and increase confidence in your skills, or even inspire you to try something completely new. For me, this is just the tip of the iceberg, and I've already started exploring topics that I didn't even realize I needed. So if you're looking for some guidance or inspiration to pick up a new skill, then Skillshare has you covered. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial to watch as many classes as you want and get a head start on your goals. Thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to these hands. So I'm coming near to the end of this particular sketchbook. there is 2 more pages left after this spread. And when I was flipping through, I realized I had only done one dedicated hand study page. So I decided before, it's time to wrap this one up, let's see how I can do with drawing hands, in a stylistic way, but let's try and get the anatomy right. As usual, I picked all of my references from Pinterest, and I will link my Pinterest in the description, but I'll also show my references up here as well, so you can see as we go along. To make sure that I wasn't completely overwhelming myself with trying to be realistic, I decided that I was also going to make these gradient colored hands, because if they're not going to be over stylized in the sketch, then let me have something, please. I have to have the color instead. I really struggled with the fist hand, and I can see it was because of the way the angle, the clench, and the way the fingers wrap around the little squishy guy that I just wasn't getting a deep enough angle. I was almost like I was trying to draw the hand straight, and I was just constantly erasing and drawing and erasing and drawing and sketching, to the point that I thought I was going to rip through the paper actually, and I was getting so frustrated I almost quit. But the best thing for me to do in that case was just do the quick sketch and then move on to the next hand and just try and get the spread roughly sketched out first, so then I could go back in once the composition is done and try and tidy things up and correct the anatomy issues. But then when I moved on then to the hand beside it, maybe I shouldn't have picked such a difficult reference. It's just, the reference is dark, it's in a shadow. The hand angle is just really awkward, and I know I'm probably making excuses right now, but it was just really difficult, and I don't know if it's because I had already psyched myself so much with the previous hand, I had struggles with it, that I just got far too much into my own head that I couldn't draw the second one. But it was kind of during the process at this point where I realized I'm being too hard on myself. These are just supposed to be studies, and I think in my mind this session is about seeing where I've come with the anatomy of the hand, and I kind of didn't want to disappoint myself with realizing maybe I couldn't draw them. I don't know, does that make sense? I don't know why drawing has to be such an emotional experience. But anyway, look, the point is you have to move on at some point, because you're not going to win them all, and you might draw one really hideous looking hand, but the other 3, 4, 5 that you do might actually look pretty good. So there's no point quitting at the first hurdle and not giving yourself the chance to at least make a good attempt at it. So I'm really glad I continued, because the bottom 2 sets of hands, I actually really, really like them. I love how they turned out. I think I had come to the acceptance stage at that point, so I was able to let go a little. And while, yes, they are stylized, they could be more realistic. I definitely think that I can call them a good study. I've captured the pose. They are not overly stylized. I mean, apart from the color. And more importantly, I did actually start to enjoy the process a little bit more towards the end, when I had decided it's not really that big of a deal if they don't look that good. Anyway, I'm not too sure if this is more of a pep talk for myself or maybe even just a pep talk for you guys if you're struggling with drawing hands. But I thought it would be nice just to show you, my process from start to finish, and show you my struggles, the areas where I'm clearly maybe less knowledgeable. Well, no, not knowledgeable, I mean maybe just less confident. And I can clearly see that when the hand is overlapping itself, that's where I am weaker. So the good thing is, that is what I have to start practicing next. So at least I have that knowledge now. Just let this be your sign to practice the hands. Like, I know we hate doing it. I know it's painful, scary, the worst thing ever, but it has to be done, right? If we want to become better artists, we have to tackle our fears, not run away from the responsibility, have a laugh about it if it doesn't turn out too good, or cry about it if you want to. At the end of the day, it's all a part of the learning process and we all have to go through it. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little sketch session, my thoughts on hands and drawing hands in general. Will I be bringing out a how to draw hands tutorial in the near future? No. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this and I will see you in my next video.